everybody.
Merry Christmas, sweetheart. Really enjoy it.
Joyeux Noel à tous.
One to go. We had so much fun having Christmas early so we could share this time with you. This year, we all get to share 2 Christmases. One when we did the videos, and the other one while you're watching these tapes. But there's still plenty of Christmas cheer and music to come. So ease on back in that chair. Let's have Christmas.
Carol Lee, grab your microphone, come up here just a minute. We've been talking a lot about love today and how important love is at Christmas time. Are we going on each side here?
Oh, yeah, let's
Now, we really talk about love.
let's talk about life. Let's talk about
No,
life.
you know, there's different kinds of love. There's all different kinds of love, and we've done, I think, every time a Christmas song, except maybe this kind of a Christmas song. Guy that was born on Christmas Day, our friend Steve Warner and I got together last year and wrote this. We got 2 people in country music born on Christmas Day. Steve Warner and Barbara Mandrell were both born on Christmas Day. Steve and I wrote this song a couple of Christmases ago. We actually wrote this one at Christmas time. It wasn't one of those July songs that we had to wait for a year or so to do anything with it, and our friends in the group Alabama recorded it, and we made a record of it too. If y'all will help me, this is about the greatest love in the world. Johnny, you and Kitty can hold hands on this one if you want to. It's called Christmas in Your Arms. All my friends are asking me where I plan to spend the holidays. People seem to celebrate the season in so many different ways. Some go where the weather's freezing cold, while others like it warm. I don't care about the weather, just whether I spend Christmas in your arms. We could drive up to the mountain, build a fire and watch it snow. We could sail down to the island where the gentle breezes blow. I'd be happy in the city, I'd be happy on the farm. I don't care where I spend Christmas, as long as I spend Christmas in your arms. Oh, I'm so fickle. It was only last December I had no Christmas spirit in my heart. My world lay cold and shattered in the ashes of a dream that fell apart. But now you're here beside me, no greater gift is wrapped beneath my tree than the arms you've wrapped around me and the precious gift of love you give to me. We could drive up to the mountain, build a fire and watch it snow. We could sail down to the islands where the gentle breezes blow. I'd be happy in the city, I'd be happy on the farm. I don't care where I spend Christmas, as long as I spend Christmas in your arms. We could drive up to the mountains, build a fire and watch it snow. We could sail down to the islands where the gentle breezes blow. I'd be happy in the city, I'd be happy on the farm. I don't care where I spend Christmas, as long as I spend Christmas in your arms. I don't care where I spend Christmas, as long as I spend Christmas in your arms. Merry Christmas, baby. I hope this is the happiest Christmas that you've ever had. And I love both of you, and I thank you for singing that little song with me called Christmas in Your Arms. Thank you. Thank you. I had, when we were writing that song, Steve Warner sat over in the corner, and one time he was singing, "We could drive up to the mountains, build a fire, and watch Hank Snow." Dickie Lee, where'd you spend Christmas as a youngster? Where'd you grow up?
Well, I grew up on a farm, and we lived right outside of Memphis, a little place called Whitehaven. Really way out there.
Is that microphone on? We're not hearing you over here. Try one that's got a battery in it there.
It wasn't on when I was telling that story.
No, Burl, we haven't heard a word you said all day. It hadn't been. We're kidding you.
No, I grew up in outside of Memphis in a little town called Whitehaven. It was I grew up on a 40-acre farm, and we never had a whole lot either. But I thought, it's really funny because even going on through high school, I didn't know that we didn't have a lot, until later. And but we lived right on the edge of the woods. We had a farm. It was a place I couldn't wait to get off of. Now I think, why did I ever want to leave that place? But I remember the year I got my first Schwinn bicycle, which is more than a lot of you guys got, I guess. But out there, of course you too. Like you almost needed a car back then to get around because our nearest neighbor was about 2 miles down the road. But my brother and I both got a bike, and it was really fun. But just all little kinds of things. I got a train too. Yeah, got an electric train. It smoked. I burned it up, the day I got it, I think. You remember how you could smell that hot transformer smoke? It's kind of a nostalgic smell. But we just had some great Christmases growing up out there, and we were just kind of out there all by ourselves, and it was really neat. And seems like we used to get a lot of snow back then, a lot more than we do today.
You've spent a lot of your career not only in country, but with a lot of your friends in the rock and roll business, because you've had some hit records and written some songs for them. We were talking about a lot of our country folks being overseas at Christmas, entertaining the troops. Did you guys ever do anything like that, or were you ever working a concert or anything at Christmas time?
No, I never entertained overseas during the holidays. I've entertained at prisons here during the holidays, but it's really funny. You talk about my rock and roll and my country career, and when I had my first, I started off, I guess I was really heavily influenced by Elvis Presley. I grew up in Memphis, and it was kind of a melting pot. You had, you got rock and roll, rhythm and blues, and country down there, and as it happened, my first hit in 1961, it was considered rock and roll. It was Patches. Today it would be considered a country record, but while I had that record out, that's when I wrote "She Thinks I Still Care." So I would go do all these rock and roll shows, and I'd try to get all my rock and roll buddies to listen to me. I would sing country songs backstage. I'd sing Webb Pierce, Farron Young, and Hank Thompson. That was kind of my repertoire back then.
I want Dickie to sing. You mentioned Elvis. Skeeter's got a wonderful Elvis Christmas story about the time he was doing his Christmas album and how he was having such a hard time getting in the mood to sing Christmas songs. Share that with us while Dickie gets ready to sing.
Fred probably knows this story too, being so close to Felton and Mary Jarvis and Elvis. But Elvis, it was in July, very hot, and I think it was July, because Christmas in July was kind of like a little cliche, but it was very hot, and they had the recording session planned. And of course, the musicians were coming ready, everybody was ready, engineer, everybody was ready, but Elvis wasn't showing up. And then he'd come back and he'd look, and it was just, he could not get in the mood. He just could not feel like singing Christmas songs because it just didn't feel like Christmas to him. And I think it was Felton's idea, and finally said, he needs a tree. Of course, the musicians were just kind of laughing at it because every time he left and delayed the sessions, that was just more money piling up for them. So they were like, they didn't care if he got in the mood that quickly or not, because they said, oh, don't go get no Christmas ornaments, don't go get no tree. But anyway, Mary, I had a farm in Thompson Station, and Mary's father lived close by, Papa Lynch and Mama Lynch. So anyway, we went out and got a Christmas tree and decorated the tree all up. And so when he came back in, he saw the tree, and I don't think it matters to say that he cried. He actually just cried, and Fred shaking his head. That was Elvis, the heart of Elvis. And he cried and cried, and then once he got through with that, he was so touched and moved by that. So that's when he did his Christmas album, and the boys all got aggravated because we went and got the tree and got it all ready and got him in the Christmas mood where he could do his album. But I'm always glad to see Fred because I feel so connected to my friends Felton and Mary and Elvis.
Any of the rest of you ever done a Christmas album in the summertime and had to do something
Well,
like
I
that?
wrote some Christmas songs for Marty Robbins. Marty used to call me his pressure putter. You know, for us golfers, that means something. To you all that don't play golf, you'll learn about it when you take it up. But he would call like in June and say, I'm going to start a Christmas album the end of this month or the first of next. And he said, I need a couple of songs from me because I was writing for his publishing company at the time. And I was just like you're talking about. I thought, Christmas in the middle of the summer like this, how do you write Christmas songs? And I did just what she's talking about. Put me up a Christmas tree, baked cakes, filled the house with good smelling potpourri and stuff that smelled like Christmas, and finally did get in the mood, wrote 3 Christmas songs that day, presented them to the publishing company the following week, and he cut 2 of them in one album. So it does work if you work hard at it.
Well, let me say this, Bill, if you asked him about, we cut a Christmas album in June. And so Kelshurst called Fred Carter and said, Fred, bring some kind of something to get us in a Christmas mood. And so I didn't want that to be unless it'd be a good little fifth of liquor or something, you know. That'll get me in the mood, baby. Well, I want you to know, in a little studio at RCA Victor Records, you know, here, Fred Carter brought about a 8 by 10 picture of a house back. You seen that house go by with a Budweiser beer commercial? It's just a picture of a house with snow and a tree there. And once you get over to the drums, you can't even see it. I mean, how can you see it? But he brought that up and hung it up, and we had the greatest laugh over that thing. And I think somebody did go get a fifth that soon after that. Because you couldn't say, no, but we cut that Christmas with a little bitty picture. That's all we had in that whole big studio.
Jan, you might have been on the session. Didn't Johnny Cash actually have some snow brought in one time, some artificial snow and stuff to the old Quonset hut when he was doing a Christmas album? Some reindeer?
I think you got that turned around. It was snow brought some, had them bring some cash in. Thanks, Snow.
Okay. Jean Shepherd a while ago said something about talking to her young grandchildren about people who didn't have things at Christmas time. I have a great friend. Merle knows her quite well. Her name is Bree Murphy. Bree is the only woman head cinematographer in that union out in California. She did all the work on Michael Landon's Little House on the Prairie, and she's won an Oscar and an Emmy and all of that. She sponsored a family down in Mexico, a father and a mother and 11 children. He was a master shipbuilder, and she would go get him and bring him into Hollywood, and he'd build a gorgeous, they had no business down where he was, it had dried up. He'd build a gorgeous desk for a head of a studio, and it'd be worth several $1,000s, and the guy would give him a couple of $100s. Well, he'd take that $200 and go back to Mexico. They could live for several months on it down there. So one time we decided we'd take him something for Christmas. So Bree and I went to a store called the White Front store, kind of like Kmart is here. And I think I spent $50, $75. I don't know what it was. But we got all these presents, and we drove down to San Diego. We were met by a taxi. And he said, we're going on Gomez Mendez Airlines. I said, okay. So this guy drove through the town and went out to a little airstrip. It looked like Smiling Jack with that windsock hanging down. And he hung up his taxi cab driver's hat and put on his airline pilot's hat. It said Gomez Mendez Airlines. Well, we got aboard. We couldn't fly over the mountains. We had to fly through them and around like this. So we went down to Manzanilla, and we slept in a hut with a dirt floor. And these, all 11 children, and they had what they called a fiesta for us. They made us food, and we had a good time on the beach. And I'd never spent such a satisfying time in my life, because they later told me It was the only time in the lives of those children where all 11 of them had something new at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, were you? I know he was. I thought you were trying to get my attention there to add a story. Oh, you're gonna be Dickie's mic stand. Now he plays that guitar left-handed, so be careful.
Okay. Right. I've heard a lot of people with this guitar. You know, Skeeter, you were talking about how dumb you were earlier today. Well, I think talking about dumb, I don't know if anybody's ever done anything this dumb, but I did a show during the holidays at the Atlanta Federal Penitentiary one time, and I was trying to think of something, you know, that they'd really dig and get them in the Christmas spirit. So I sing, "I'll Be Home for Christmas." And as these paper cups and shoes started coming at me, I realized that, you know, maybe that wasn't such a good choice, but I'm going to try a little bit of that. This is the first time I've done it since then, so y'all might help me out with it a little bit. I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. We'll have snow and mistletoe and presents on the tree. Christmas Eve will find where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my
Bill, I read somewhere, and I think it's true, that song was written by a 17-year-old boy while in the armed forces in Europe in World War II. He was in Germany, but that was written by
It's a
him.
very sad song.
It's really neat to sing it and not have anything thrown at you.
I bet you really got a hand on that deal.
No, but there's everybody here has probably performed at one time or another in a prison. I mean, we've all done benefits. Somebody, were you on the one, Skeeter, where we were with Homer and Jethro, and we were talking the other day about how Homer and Jethro could always come up with something. I remember we were doing a show at the Nebraska State Penitentiary, I think, and Homer and Jethro were on the stage, and this one prisoner got up and kind of started walking down the aisle. Homer looked at him, "Where do you think you're going?" Where was there to go?
Bill, I have a little Christmas prison. Dale Reeves will remember.
Oh, man.
Hank Jr. was singing at the Tennessee prison here in Nashville, the old Disney World, what we used to call Disney World East. And Hank Jr. started doing a whole lot of shaking or something, and those prisoners started to riot, and Dale ran and jumped in this big old box. And everybody was looking for Dale when things calmed down, and he raised that lid up, and he said, "Is the coast clear?"
It's where they kept the barbells. I put all them barbells out there, got in that thing, and it was close, you know. But man, they were riding.
I
They
was
were
trying to get in before you. You knocked me out of the way.
I know it. Everybody knows I was trying to get in that thing because I was hiding. But they got them under control. But finally, someone come back there and says, "Where's Dale?" And I raised that thing up. I said, you know, it's right over.
This really didn't have a thing to do with Christmas, but a couple of
Oh,
the
it
guys
did.
over there are laughing because we played the Utah State Prison one time. Jan, you may have been with us. I don't remember. And when the drummer went to put the drums back on the bus, he said, "This drum case feels heavy." And he took the top off, and there was a guy in there, was in the drum case. And my drummer looked at us and said, "Are you trying to escape?" The guy said, "Yep."
Bill, do you remember when we worked the Connecticut maximum security prison? Yes. Remember that? And we went out there, and I mean, they had guards everywhere, and I was very uncomfortable. And but anyway, we did it, and the next day, I mean, there was prisoners backstage serving cake and coffee and everything. The next day, we went to the bank, and this teller said, "Oh, you all, you know, we're here again this year and everything." And I said, "Yeah, but we were off yesterday and we worked the prison." He said, "You did?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm surprised they had any more entertainment out there." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "A jazz group was there a month ago, and they had somebody held a couple of the entertainers hostage, and it was an escape, and somebody was, don't you remember that? Somebody was stabbed." We're really getting away from the Christmas
No,
thing
you're
here.
not, because we played. Hey, Merle, we went up. We done so good out here that the man from Kentucky wanted us up there. I went up to Kentucky, and this was 3 days before Christmas. That's right. Now, this is a fact. I just happened to think about this, and so the what's that man head of this? What's it he called up there?
Big
The warden,
boss man.
Yeah. He come. Yeah, Joe. Yeah. He come and told us. He said, "Boys, I don't want nothing said about food or nothing else." He said because, and he said we're going to have 2 shows. He said because they've been writing here, and he said we're going to give them a big Christmas dinner 3 days away. But he said right now they've been on bread and crackers. Or crackers and water. Yeah. I swear to you, I'm telling the truth.
Well, I'll tell you what,
And the first, wait a minute, Harold Morrison was on the show. He opened the show up, and the first thing Harold Morrison said was, "Ladies, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen." There ain't other men in there. And he said, "I come by my uncle's place down here," and he said, he just bought him a new a bologna slicer. I said, "Oh Lord, let me go try to find someplace to hide." But we got through those 2 shows, and Hank Jr. was on it, and it was just fantastic. But now they were going to get Christmas dinner in 2 days.
in early 1973, Farron Young and I worked the prison right here in Nashville. And I think Farron had done that many times. He used to go out there and give of his talent and his service to entertain those boys out there. And they didn't care a whole lot about hearing me sing. They didn't want to hear nothing I had to say, but they liked looking. You know, they just looked, but they didn't want to hear me sing. They didn't care too much about what Farron was doing. But David Allen Coe was with us, and he went out there and destroyed the house that day, just absolutely. They loved him to death, because I think they were trying to figure out whether he was one of them or should be.
Give little Jim your mic there.
Bobby and Sonny Osborne, you know the guys. And Sonny was telling me this story. They were playing this mental institution at Christmas. And they were on stage doing their thing, and they had a balcony around up there in this little auditorium. And some of these people were leaning way out over it. And he said one time when they ended one of their songs, this old boy leaned way out over that balcony and said, "Play a record!" And Bobby turned around and Sonny said, "There ain't too much wrong with that old boy."
Well, Bill,
I think Fred.
I was just sitting here, you know, thinking about when I first broke into the music business. I was a promotion man with Mercury Records. In those days, when a label signed an artist they had a lot of faith in, the first thing they do is try to get them a Christmas hit. Because that showed the DJs, you know, that they're going to stick with them, you know, whether they made it this record or not. So Patty Page was a promising artist on Mercury. And they found her a Christmas song. One of the more unfortunate ones, I believe. It's called Boogie Woogie Santa Claus. And it was shipped out, and that nobody would play it. They'd play it one time and say, oh, Lord. Somebody in Kansas City said, I'm going to turn that over and see what's on the other side. Tennessee Waltz.
Wow. Fred, when did she do How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? Marion Worth had the country hit on it here, but... Me and you neither one don't know, do we?
57, I
Bill,
think.
Bill, when we were talking about what I did a while ago, I purposely didn't tell you about going to the prison the next year to get a couple people from there, because I thought, well, you shouldn't start talking about all this prison stuff. But since everybody has, I was going to say that I did go, and I did get a couple of young girls from there too, and they will. And as we're talking about this, we can talk about it, and we can tell these stories and do these descriptive things. But I might just interject this right here, that is a thing that I don't know if y'all know you can do that, but there are things you can do. You can make Christmases happier for other people, and the girls that, you know, after the girl got out of prison, I mean, they were out for a little while. They went back. I've heard from them, and they made something out of their lives. And then I did get to go. It was a pre-Christmas show, but it was at Lewistown at the penitentiary there. And Jimmy Hoffa was in the prison at that time. And he had been to, when he was in Nashville, he had come to the Opry, and he liked my singing. And so they had requested I come and do a show there. So I went there. And like I said, we were doing Christmas songs. It was about 3 or 4 days before Christmas. But they let this young man be with us all day. And he was carrying my things for me. And I was kind of embarrassed because when the band, they asked us if we did, they said, well, you need to ask you this. Do you have any knives? You know, are you guys carrying any knives, any pocket knives? And my band said no, you know. And after I became a vegetarian, I always had a little knife because I'd get some lettuce and I could always have a salad when I couldn't find anything else I could eat, you know. Anyway, so all of a sudden I was so embarrassed because I had my little Swiss Army knife they took. But anyway, we went in there and we sang, and what was so meaningful about that, I did hear from so many prisoners' wives, that they became Christians, they found God, and they made jokes about having a captive audience. You know, you do all those little things that we talk about and laugh about and everything. But I think that, you know, here again, some people have children, grandchildren. I had no children, so I made all these things my causes and my children, and you do get so much more out of it than you give. But the young boy that happened to be with us that day, they were letting him be kind of our person that was helping us and everything. It turned out that he had been in prison for about 14 years and had been there since he was a young man. And so I tried to keep up with him. Anyway, it's really a challenge that I would even give out today as we talk about all this, to try to seek out those things and try to make Christmas happier for some of those, you know, that are less fortunate than we.
Bill, I'll tell you a great Christmas present I just thought of that I got from a man that I always think about when I hear Christmas songs, Eddie Arnold. I had written 3 or 4 songs for Eddie and worked with him on an album. And my wife said, Merle, guess who's on the phone? I said, who is it? I'm in the bathroom. He said, it's Eddie Arnold. I said, wow, Eddie Arnold. He's never called me. I said, hello, Eddie. And he said, Merle, Merry, Merry Christmas. I said, well, Eddie, that's so sweet of you to call and wish me Merry Christmas. He said, I've got a Christmas gift for you, my boy. I said, a Christmas gift? What can it be? He said, I guess you've heard that I've recorded Make the World Go Away. I said, well, Eddie, everybody in town's talking about it. It should be a 6 million seller at least. He said, I hope so, my boy. I put your song The Easy Way on the back side of it. Merry Christmas. It sold 6 million copies.
In line with what Skeeter was saying, I've played a lot of prisons. I've played the women's prisons, and I've seen some of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And they look up at you, and a tear in their eyes if you sing a ballad or something. And God, my heart goes out to them. And we find a lot of talent in there, some pretty good songwriters and musicians. And I've corresponded with them, and we've had their material sent up and so on like that. Haven't been lucky in getting a cut, but we've corresponded with them. And the show may be going into some prisons right now. So I send good words to them. There's a lot of good guys in there, and they'll come out okay. There's some that'll just hang around and be back in there, too. They won't, because they don't listen. Well, that's my sermon for today, folks. Pass the plate, will you?
We don't talk enough about Eddie Arnold, I don't think, because he probably was one of the most influential men that was ever in this business. And he changed our whole business around when his wonderful style came on the scene back then. I'd like to do a public thanks to him because in 1949, I was a broke disc jockey in Texas, and he said, if you ever want to come to Nashville, call me up and we'd like to have you on the radio. I came into Union Station with a little better than $8 in my pocket, and at his invitation. He said, it's so near Christmas, you come and stay with me out at my house, and we'll get all this done right after Christmas is over. So I stayed there, and right after Christmas, he took me down to Nashville and got me a job on the radio at WMAK. I later became the #1 disc jockey there, thank the good Lord, and started my checkered career here in this town. So I can lay it all at the doorstep of the kindness and the goodness of Eddie Arnold.
Boy, nothing like being together with friends and people you love at Christmas time. I hope y'all have had as much fun with this as I have, and it's terrific. Billy Walker hasn't sung for us.
You're right, I'm not singing, I'm raring to sing.
Raring to sing and can't sing for raring.
That's right.
All right, lay one on us.
All right, here's an old song that we recorded in an album last year, and it's called Winter Wonderland. So, gang, if you'll hit me a sleigh bells ring, are you listening? In the lane, snow is glistening, a beautiful sight. We're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is the bluebird, here to stay is the new bird. We sing a love song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we will build a snowman and pretend his name is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Come on, band. In the meadow we will build a snowman and pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, are you married? We'll say, no, man, you can do the job when you're in town. Later on we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Oh, walking in a winter wonderland.
Good job.
I loved it.
Did it snow where you were when you were a young boy growing up? Did you have white
yeah.
Christmases?
Well, one time out in Lubbock, Texas, and back about 1940, something like that, you know, there's nothing to hold back the north wind in West Texas except a barbed wire fence. And it didn't do a very good job. And so in 1940, we had an ice storm, and then we had a snowstorm on top of the ice storm. And, of course, all the power lines broke down. And, of course, we didn't have much power out where we lived, but we got caught visiting my brother over in Lubbock, Texas, and we spent one miserable Christmas over there because nobody had any fire or they didn't have any wood because there's not a whole lot of trees in West Texas, you know. You know, it's so dry out there that when a guy faints, they throw sand in his face instead of water because water is that scarce out there. but you betcha they get some snows out in West Texas.
Yeah, not exactly winter wonderland when you're struggling to stay warm. though,
No,
is it?
that's right.
Oswald said he spent one Christmas, or maybe more than one Christmas, with Roy Acuff in Australia. Now, it's summertime in Australia at Christmas time, right?
Oh, yeah.
Could you get in the Christmas spirit with it being 90 degrees or whatever?
I stayed pretty well, you know.
In the spirit.
I don't know much about it.
I think he thought I said spirits instead of spirit. Yeah. But I don't know. It just seems to me that would be so funny to be somewhere like Australia or in the other hemisphere, you know, where it's warm at Christmas time.
Well, it's funny feeling to come back in the snow and leave a hot sunshine.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I've seen pictures of Santa Claus is down there running around little short outfits.
Oh, yeah.
And skimpy outfits and things.
Yeah.
Speaking of outfits, y'all haven't seen what's behind the green door back here. We've got something. I think we need to see what's behind door number 1. Speaking of the outfits right here. Here they come. Yeah, Miss Country Soul in her 90. And who's your friend?
Her name is Samantha Jane Sweetthing, and Santa Claus brought her to me the Christmas of 1969. So that means we're both 29 now. And that's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
But one of course, I love the song all year round, but I can remember when I used to tune into the Grand Ole Opry during the Christmas season, always to hear Marion Worth sing a song that I like so very much. Remember Shake Me, I Rattle? I have to go over here and sit down.
Okay, go over there and take your friend, sit down. Jimmy Dickens is looking at that doll, dying to do Raggedy Ann.
Well,
she's grown a lot. Yeah. She sure has.
We don't know what happened to Dickens, but yeah, are you comfortable there, I think? Okay, I think we're ready, Mr. Cat. Shake me, I rattle, squeeze me, I cry. Please take me home and love me. I was passing by the toy shop on the corner of the square when I saw a little girl peeking in the window there. She was looking at a dolly in a dress of rosy red, and around the little dolly hung a little sign that read, shake me, I rattle, squeeze me, I cry. Please take me home and love me. I recalled another toy shop on the corner of the square where I saw another dolly in the window there. I remembered how I longed to make her mine, and around that other dolly hung another little sign. Shake me, I rattle, squeeze me, I cry. I had counted my pennies, just a penny shy. Shake me, I rattle, squeeze me, I cry. Please take me home and love me. It was late, the snow was falling as the shoppers hurried by. Past that little girl with her little head held high. They were closing up the toy shop as I hurried through the door, just in time to buy the dolly that her heart was longing for. Shake me, gave her the darling we both had longed to find. Shake me, I rattle, squeeze me, I cry. Please take me home and love me. Merry Christmas and thank you, Marion Worth.
That's beautiful. Did you notice the way Johnny Russell was looking at your doll there?
I know. I did. It worried me. But she can handle him.
What you gonna do for Christmas?
What am I going to do
You
for
stay
Christmas?
home? What are you gonna do?
You know what? I can't remember exactly when I started doing this, but I started going. I love it when the Grand Ole Opry is at Christmas time, because I do love to be at the Opry at Christmas and with all my extended family. And I love to go over to the Opryland Hotel. And I usually go to that Christmas dinner on Christmas Day because I don't like to cook.
Well, that's a good dinner.
I want to say one thing.
You don't do
too.
kitchens.
I don't do kitchens well. But all the girls were talking earlier, you know, about growing up and wanting dolls. I was really fortunate. A lot of my dolls were homemade. A lot of my dolls were rag dolls. And I had a lot of stuffed teddy bears and everything. So I was fortunate that way. But I always lined them all up and made them be my audience. Isn't that all? That's how I played with dolls. I made them buy tickets.
Johnny, tell us about the dolls you had growing up.
Bill, can I tell everybody, every Friday night before Christmas at the Grand Ole Opry backstage, I think most of y'all know this, but we have a Christmas party, my band and myself. My guys' wives cook, and I cook for 3 days. And last year, this has been like 7 or 8 years now, and last year I think we fed like 100, 150 people. But it's every Friday night, just right before Christmas, we make the sausage balls and the deviled eggs and everything. And we had a catastrophe a couple of years ago. Benny put the deviled eggs in the back of the car and they turned over.
Well, you had scrambled eggs, didn't you?
We had scrambled eggs.
Hey, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but they ought to get a shot of Dickens' boots here.
They're beautiful.
Have you seen? I've never seen a pair of boots that pretty in all my life.
Those are beautiful.
Hey, that record, Marion Worth record, wasn't that produced by Owen Bradley?
No.
Oh, it's
Wasn't?
a Don Law record.
Oh, that's right. She was on Columbia. I don't know why I was thinking back.
Did Marion write that song, or who wrote it?
I thought this was Patty Page.
I don't know.
What a great song. What a beautiful little
Bill,
story.
Patty
Yeah.
Page had that originally. Well, not that one. But I know she had that. We had a record shop. We sold the records.
Oh, yeah. Does anybody know who wrote the song?
No, I don't know who wrote it.
Anybody know? It's a beautiful song.
I'll take it.
I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you a little story about Patty Page and the Tennessee Waltz. You know, we had that store in Wheeling. We sold all country records. Wasn't an artist that could come in there that they wouldn't find their records in our store. I made sure that we had everybody. And then we sold the rhythm and blues, the rock and roll. And we had the two different trades. And I had to listen to the radio in places to know what to buy in the rock and roll field, and the rhythm and blues. They told me where to listen. And one of the places to listen was WLAC here in Nashville. And so, yep, that's right. So I knew where to listen to get that. And I always listened to the radio, you know, for the new records that come out. And I heard Patty Page on a pop station do Tennessee Waltz. So I said to Stoney, Stoney, you and Mr. Lewis is going to have to go to Pittsburgh in the morning, buy every record that the distributor has of Patty Page on Tennessee Waltz. Well, he said, do we have to go in the morning? I said, yes, you do, to get the records, because we got to have those things. So they went up there, and they bought every record Mercury had, brought them down, and we were the only store there in Wheeling that had Tennessee Waltz for about 2 weeks.
And Boogie Woogie Santa Claus.
On the back. That's right. That's why I knew. Yeah.
speaking of dollies, Merle Kilgore wrote a big song back, what was it, Merle, late 50s, early 60s?
1960.
Was it Frankie Miller that had the
Frankie
first record
Miller.
on this? But
Yeah.
then you recorded it too, didn't you?
Right. No, yes, I did record it on Starday. I forgot. But Frankie had the first record. Tommy Hill produced it on it. And this is really not a Christmas song, but because of Christmas it happened. I was manager of KCIJ. You remember that station, T. Tommy?
Very well.
He made that station famous. I came along and tore it down, but hey, it was a living. It was a little rough back in those days after T. Tommy left and Tommy Sands. I'm not kidding you, they took the listeners somewhere. And times were tough. And my wife said, Merle, bring home a Christmas tree. We've got to have a Christmas tree. I said, let me tell you something, my dear. I got a deal with the guy at the A&P. He's going to get me a tree for nothing. And we'll just have to wait the day before Christmas. So that year, they had a run on Christmas trees. There was no Christmas trees at the A&P, and everything else I looked was horrible looking. So I told the guy, I said, man, what am I going to do? You promised me a tree. He said, I got it. He had the most beautiful, life-size, probably a 10-foot photograph of a tree with all the ornaments in living color, And I brought that home. My wife looked at me and said, you got to be kidding. That's right. You got to be kidding. I said, the kids will never know the difference. They're real little. So we scotch taped that tree up and put presents under it. And she called me
We'll
cheap.
do that. Only Merle will do that.
But the kids loved that tree. It was so beautiful. And we thought about holding it over the next Christmas. But when we took it off the wall, the scotch tape ate up the picture. But anyway, the kids were doing a little thing under the tree. And I said, Pam did the jig, Steve beat the drum, and Kim rocked her dolly. And so my wife said, well, go ahead. And I said, you think that's pretty good? So I wrote this little song. Would you please? Remember this now, that beautiful 3D almost Christmas tree. As I sit here in this old folks' home, my hair is white as snow. I remember back when I was young again, how everything was jolly. When sister did the jig and brother beat the drum and baby rocked her dolly, baby rocked her dolly. Them kids of mine have all grown up, but they write every now and then. As I read their letters, it brings memories of all our fun and folly. When sister did the jig and brother beat the drum, baby rocked her dolly, baby rocked her dolly. That wife of mine, God rest her soul, she's gone on before me. Bet she told the Lord all about the times our house was filled with folly. When sister did the jig and brother beat the drum, baby rocked her dolly, baby rocked her dolly. Well, the man across the hall is a lonely man. He's never had a family. So he asked me to tell him all about my kids when he's feeling melancholy. But sister did the jig and brother beat the drum and baby rocked her dolly, baby rocked her dolly. Every night I pray for them kids of mine. I wish they were back with me. But before I die, Lord, let me see a sight to make me jolly. Sister did the jig and brother beat the drum. Baby rock her dolly, and baby rock her dolly.
Nice song. Okay. Yeah, Dale.
Turned out to be great, didn't it?
Yeah. Okay, Merle, you were in Shreveport. You were in North Louisiana. Or Jimmy Newman was in South Louisiana.
Yeah.
How'd they celebrate Christmas in South Louisiana?
Pretty much the same as anywhere else, really, and our food was pretty much the same. We had, of course, had to have rice with everything, where like y'all would have, everybody else would have cornbread dressing. We had rice dressing, and of course, we have the wildlife in Louisiana, the wild game that really enhances our Christmas dinner. You know, the wild ducks and all of that. But it's pretty much the same. You know, there's a little more eating going on in our part of the country, but it's a wonderful time of year. By the way, May and I, my wife, we always go home for Christmas and to Louisiana. We tried not to for a few years, and it don't sound right, it don't feel right. So we even spent a white Christmas in Gatlinburg, and that was more worse than. I wish we could celebrate it in Tennessee, because we love Tennessee. But at that time, as y'all know, and I think we'll all agree, that's time to go home, you know, and be with family. Sir.
You've got a Cajun song, I think, Christmas song, don't you?
Yeah, my niece and I came up with a little song. You know, you receive these Christmas cards, and I'm sure all of you have Joyous Noel, Joyous. Well, really in French, you know, like we will say that's Merry Christmas, and we'll say Merry Christmas in English if we're holding. But if we're holding a French conversation or visiting with some of the older people that don't speak English, that still just speak French, you Merry Christmas will do because they know what you're saying. But Joyeux Noël is really the French way to say Merry Christmas. Joyeux means joyous. It's there on a lot of the Christmas cards. So would you like for me to quit talking and go ahead and do a little bit of it?
Do whatever,
I've never done it
whatever
before.
you want to do. It's Christmas time.
My niece and I put this together, as I said. And Peggy Newman, I'll dedicate this for you. Joyeux Noel means a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year means a bon année. Joyeux Noel, wish you could be with us. Celebrate the season in our Cajun way. There won't be many presents underneath the tree, but there's nothing like the love of a Cajun family. Joyeux Noel means a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year means a bon année. Joyeux Noel, wish you could be with us. Celebrate the season in our Cajun way. Presents underneath the tree, but there's nothing like the love of a Cajun family. Joyeux Noel means a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year means a bon année. Joyeux Noel, wish you could be with us. Celebrate the season in our Cajun way. Celebrate the season in our way. That's what I meant to say. Merry Christmas, Joyeux Noel, I do. See you a while ago.
That's great, Joey. What'd you say, Tater?
I want all you folks, the lights are up on my house. They're all up, and I want you to come by and see them. And stop in, if you will, and see Miss Mona and I. Will you do that at Christmas this Christmas?
Absolutely, yeah.
Got about 7,000 lights for you to view. Started on them in October. Put them up every year for the past 10 years, just for the kids in the neighborhood. One little boy met me in Kroger's one day and said, "Where's Santa Claus? He wasn't on the chimney." I wasn't going to put him up last year. And when he asked me, I said, "He's a little late. He'll be up there. Don't you worry about it." And I went straight as I could go and bought the biggest one I could find and put him on top of the house. For the little kids in the neighborhood and the Baptist Children's Home that we talked about a while ago, they bring the buses by for the children, and they all get out and look at the lights, and I go down and visit with them. Okay?
What a
Merry
nice thing to
Christmas.
do. That's the Christmas spirit. That's wonderful.
You know, they'll probably name it, Bill, Little Jimmy Dickens Opryland this next year. 2 more months, yeah.
Hey, what my daughter and I love to do is go sing for the kids at the Baptist Children's Home. And Mike Huff gets that ready every year, and he's a great insurance guy in Brentwood, and it's a real treat to go sing for those kids. And another thing that we like to do at Christmas time, we just started doing that, is to sing for the children at the psychiatric ward at Vanderbilt Hospital. It's wonderful. It's really great.
A lot of you go, don't you, to Baptist, isn't it Baptist Hospital, where a lot of people from the Grand Ole Opry go and can sing Christmas carols and this kind of thing? That's right. Yeah, the retirement veterans hospital. Jan's very involved in that.
Yeah, the School for the Blind. And is it, what's the name of the song we do that that we do that they do all the repeats? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and they you know, like a light bulb, you know, that kind of thing. And they had the biggest time.
This last year, during the Christmas caroling, we went to the, is it Harry Hillman?
Yes.
School. I tell you.
Yes.
If you ever need a reason to count your blessings, go there and see these children.
Is it a hospital?
No, it isn't for the blind. It's totally afflicted,
Yes.
you know, mentally and physically and everything. And it will break your heart, but it will certainly make you count your blessings.
Some of them are children who I asked the lady there. And some of them are children with diseases. And,
Yeah.
Some are accident victims, car wreck victims.
Mhm.
One little girl was there because she fell in a swimming pool and her parents got her out, but when they got her out, it was too late. They brought her back, but it was the brain damage had set in. Another one was a car wreck. Another one a little boy had drank so much cough syrup, and it had done brain damage severely. And you can't imagine. It's
No.
like Jan says. I mean,
You
we're not
really
talking.
can't.
We're not talking light affliction here.
Serious.
It's
And
so wonderful
they
that the
told
people...
us not to touch any of
Yes.
any of the children, you know, not to go over to them. But we were standing there singing, and there was this one little boy over there in a wheelchair, just propped up every way for him to be propped up. And when we started singing, you know, anything out of the ordinary gets them. They get excited and they don't know what to do.
Agitated.
This little boy became so agitated and everything, and I just broke ranks and went over there and patted him and stood there and rubbed his hand, and he calmed down. So I stayed there with him the whole time. But it literally, I went in the restroom and cried because it will break your heart. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so wonderful that the people in this room and our brothers and sisters in the music business, the ones that have been around a while, the new ones, whoever, that they take time to do things like that and
I
to
hope
share.
the people watching this can see that the ladies and gentlemen of country music, what they do in their spare time when they're off stage and what they try to put back from the business that they've taken from. We're getting a great example from it with these stories today.
Well, it's like I said when Skeeter was talking, and Skeeter said she never did it for publicity. Nobody in this room does it for the publicity. It's because of what's in the hearts. Jeannie's got a great song. I think it would be very appropriate about this time. Christmas is for kids, and we're all kids at heart at Christmas.
This is one of the songs that I told you that I wrote for the Marty Robbins album that year. I've never sang it publicly before because Marty said he had such a wonderful record on it, it's hard to top his cut on anything, but T. Tommy was a great friend of Marty's, and for all of Marty Robbins' old friends and fans that might happen to be watching our videos, this will be for you. May the children of the world, every boy and every girl, have a bigger and better Christmas Day. For they all need a part in somebody's heart. Since Christmas is for kids anyway. Christmas
Christmas is for kids anyway. You hear this expression every day. So may the ones far and near have a plenty this year, since Christmas is for kids anyway. May we all look around for a child who's been let down and love him as we would be loved. And regardless of his need, may somebody take heed, since Christmas is for kids anyway. Everybody, Christmas is for kids anyway. You hear this expression every day. So may the ones far and near have a plenty this year, since Christmas is for kids anyway.
That's a great song.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it.
Well, I just hope everybody here has the merriest Christmas that you've ever had. And it's been wonderful for us all to get together and to share these stories and share the songs and share them with our friends who watch these videos and watch this television program all over the world, really, not only just the United States and Canada, but as Jan was saying earlier, some of these videos go to South Africa. They go to all kinds of different places. I want to ask, nobody knows I'm going to do this, and I hope he is in the control room. We wouldn't all be together here today if it wasn't for a guy named Larry Black, who asked us to do these family reunion shows. Larry, are you back there somewhere? You guys who watch these videos, you hear Larry's voice, but you don't ever really get to see him. And come here, Santa Claus. This is the guy that, yeah, that's right. We give him a standing. You have been so wonderful to, you're the guy that spearheaded all this, that got us all together, that said, look, here's the time, here's the place, let's get together, we need to be together. It wouldn't have happened without you. We wish you the merriest of Christmases. We love you. You've done so much for us. This is nothing very fancy, but it's a little scrapbook. It's going to ultimately have a picture of each one of these people in there. Everybody in the cast has autographed it to you. We hope that you'll keep it for this Christmas and many Christmases to come, and know that it comes with a lot of love from your friends.
Oh, guys, thank you very much. Thank you. You guys have, you've absolutely brought incredible joy to me. You guys have been such a delight to work with, and like I said, you brought a lot of joy. It's funny how every time we start getting sentimental, we want to cut it with a joke somewhere, and so that's what you do. You go for the zinger, and but I really love you folks. Thank you for making this special. Thank you.
From my standpoint, I just want to say this, and you don't put this on the tape, just cut it out, but Larry asked me to kind of be the traffic cop here, and I didn't ask to do this. You guys are my heroes. I played your records when I was a disc jockey, and that you'd let me do this, I really appreciate it. You've all been so wonderful to work with. You're just the ultimate pros, and I get stumbling and I don't know where to go, and one of you jumps in and you pick me up and you make it look good, and then I love everybody in this room, and I thank you very much.
Like I told you earlier, you do what you do better than anybody in the world could do it, Bill. That's why you're there. Thank you, darling.
Thank you.
The whole world a Merry Christmas.
The whole world, and our band, and the wonderful band, Mike Johnson, Les Singer, Glenn Duncan, Jimmy Capps, Dirk Johnson, Randy Hardison, and David Smith, who've done a wonderful job playing. And the band leader, little Jimmy Dickens. We're all going to his house and look at the lights, go to Jeannie Pruitt's house and have dinner. Plain little Christmas times are coming, and we'll go out of here on that. Just take it off, Glenn.
You know, we're all so much alike. We enjoy family and holidays together. Getting with those you love and sharing memories and songs make the holidays seem so much brighter. I trust these videos with Country's Family Reunion legends have made your Christmas season just that much better. We sure had fun sharing these with you. I'm Larry Black, producer of Country's Family Reunion. And as always, I would love to hear from you. If you have a thought, comment, or suggestions, please let me hear from you. My address is Post Office Box 210-709, Nashville, Tennessee 37221. Oh, if you haven't seen enough, we'll just put the first tape back in and we can do it all over again. That's the magic of owning these videos. Thanks for letting us into your home, and until next time, God bless you.